Hello again and welcome to Find Your Inner Flavor. This is the podcast where Gregory Owens and myself co-host.
And I'll try not to interrupt.
We are the co-owners of Symbol. We're a healthy lifestyle-focused restaurant located here in the St. Louis area. We are in Kirkwood, Chesterfield, and in St. Charles, Missouri, and hopefully all over the place at some point. We currently are the sponsors of this podcast. Thanks to Blue and Nationwide Processing earlier on, they helped launch this podcast. Now we're looking for more of you to help keep this moving forward. So if you're interested in sponsoring, we drink forehand citywide.
Bob, Kevin.
We have space for placement of promoting who it is that you are and what you do. And we love to talk about who it is that supports us as well. So we're going to dive into today's episode. With us today, I've got Jason Ciaramitaro and Danielle LeBeau.
Ciaramitaro.
Oh my gosh, Ciaramitaro.
Don't even try and spell the damn thing.
When you look at how it's spelled and then you say it, what is the background? Like, what's the lineage of that?
It's Italian.
Italian? Mm-hmm. Now, no wonder why you want pizza and pasta and all of these things.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk, this episode, we're going to dive into the mental side of food. Why is it that we crave the things that we crave? And I'm looking at Jason going, that has nothing to do with the mental part of things. The craving is something different. But we're going to...
No, it's both.
Okay, good.
Sure.
So I wasn't totally wrong. We all kind of came together because Team Stacy, if you followed us on some other podcasts, Team Stacy was our inspiration for bringing this team of the four of us together. Well, we dove into some of her obstacles and challenges, and one of the biggest components we've identified in the 3 months that we've been working together is this mental component. So using Stacy or using any of your other clients in the past, Danielle, talk a little bit about who you are and what you do, because when I found you, you really took a completely different approach to things than anybody else that I had talked to, which is what I loved about you. And it triggered something that was like, oh yeah, that's the missing component. So talk a little bit about what you do.
So I coach people in their relationship to food and their relationship to their own body. And there is this whole, before you can begin adjusting the way that you eat, there's like, I call it step 0. It's a certain level of self-respect and self-love that must be present in order for you to truly take the new actions and new steps that fulfill or like bring you to the next level of eating something differently. You can have a bunch of knowledge, but if you don't have self-love and self-respect, it's not going to make a bit of difference. And then even after you have a bunch of knowledge, so say like you already know, then there's this beyond knowledge part. Does that make any sense? Like beyond, like you know better. I know what to have, and yet that's not going to change what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to eat this.
It's about a choice at that. It's like, where's the choice coming from? Why are you wanting to choose this? Is that?
Yeah, like because the brain power, the knowledge isn't going to make the difference.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
This is not really the same thing, but it's almost like, restaurant business, young people, heroin, big epidemic, almost like that, and we've had and counseled people through, they have to hit rock bottom or your zero before they even remotely can figure out that they need to change.
And then they choose.
But then that's always there. So even though they know, we all know drugs kill. It's not really a hard thing, but...
But food is interesting and different because if you don't have a consequence, meaning a lot of the clients you are seeing, Jason, autoimmune, they're having some pretty severe consequences.
Right.
If they don't have that consequence...
What's the trigger?
It's not always better health because they maybe don't notice it or feel it or see it. Weight might be it, but is it bad enough to where you're ready to go, no, I got to do something different?
Yeah, so, I guess before how do people come to you when they're at step 0?
No.
No. So do you have to help guide them to that, or?
A lot of times they want to fix the outside thing, which is like the symptom, and that, the weight or, this compulsive behavior or whatever is really just an outside dashboard light blinking saying that there's an error or a problem under the hood. But we look at, changing the light bulb on the dashboard, taking that out or putting duct tape over the indication, which is not really solving the issue. It's symptom management.
Not a lot different than medication.
Exactly.
And that's kind of where Jason kind of comes into play in regards to somebody's having symptoms, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, Crohn's, all of these different things, and somebody's putting them on a medication and it's putting Band-Aid on it, but it's not fixing it, and they're not necessarily seeing much quality of life. So
what's your 30-second relationship? Where do you come in as far as the food?
Well, I try to view it all as it's really hard to separate the components. We're multifaceted beings. We can't ignore one and only focus on the other. We're physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual beings. And whether you're addressing, an autoimmune disease or, binge eating or, a weight problem, you have to address all those components. You can't ignore one, and ultimately it does boil down to the things that Danielle talks about, and any addiction, or any type of issue, we all have voids that we're trying to fill. You know what I mean? And some people do it with food, some people do it with drugs. I've personally done it with both. I'm a recovering addict, and I have walked down that path of, really dark places, trying to fill that void and to find a way to feel better about myself and cope with the world through drugs and alcohol. And I've also done it with food. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of components that come into play when you're trying to deal with any of these things, whether it's a disease or overcoming there's a word I'm trying to look for, like bulimia and things like that.
Anorexia.
There's a phrase I can't find, but when we're trying to overcome something like that or a physical type of thing, you really do have to address all those components simultaneously. Mm-hmm. You can't ignore one. Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the way our culture is, we do our clients such a disservice as practitioners, not us specifically, but in our culture, just focusing on the input output of diet and exercise. And it's just not the thing. It's just so not, and it breaks my heart to, you encourage people to eat well and exercise more, and it's just not effective. It's just not the answer.
Yeah, it is interesting when you sit there and you talk about, I'm one of those, I've gained 20 pounds in the last year. I'm in my mid-40s. My energy has gotten depleted, probably due to high stress, probably not a very well-working thyroid, hormone issues since I was in my, early 20 or early 19, 20 years old. So there's lots of components that I've probably put on the back burner here recently that at one point in my life when I didn't have as much stuff going on, I focused a little bit more on it. It all starts piling up as you get older. It's easy for me to say, oh, I should just get up and go to the gym today. And if I went to the gym, I'd get better. But mentally, it's not even a mental thing for me. I really don't have the energy. Like, I'm just lacking that energy to get in there and go when you have all of these other moving components. Mm-hmm. So the self-love piece of it, then you beat yourself up. I'm just going through my little scenario of it. I then beat myself up saying, why am I not doing this for myself? I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. And we go down that same cycle over and over and over again. So what is it that you do? Somebody's starting with you. Somebody's coming in and going, Danielle, I need to lose 40 pounds or what? I need to do this. Where do you start?
Okay, well, can we use you for an example?
Sure.
So
I'm always willing to be the guinea pig.
Wow. Hey, this is like a free therapy session. Jeez.
Do you want to be next? Is that what it is?
Oh my God.
We don't have time for that.
Okay, so what are you? So you said 20 pounds and no energy to do gym in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or in the afternoon.
Or in the afternoon. Well, I know that if I don't do the gym in the morning, I am not it's not going to happen. One, my schedule, something is always constantly popping up and changing. Something's always shifting in my life. And truth is, I don't make it a major priority.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say, no, I'm going here this time. I don't.
Yeah. What do you want?
What do I want? Wow, the roles have been reversed.
Yeah, and I'm way over here.
I want more energy. I do. I want more energy. I feel like in some ways I'm content. Mm-hmm. I'm just okay. I'm okay being content in this arena.
Can you be okay with that?
Obviously, for the time being, I am.
Can you choose that? Like, can you just choose the life you have right now?
It's not me.
Okay.
It's not me. Like, this is not me. Like, I'm not representing who I am and how I show up in all of these other areas of my life. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm sitting here going, this is not who I am. And this is where I'll start crying. But
she's a crier.
But this is the reality of life. Mm-hmm. This is the truth.
Yeah.
We all have to hit that point. And this is why I love having you, because I come from a coaching background and I'm always willing to.
We love you too, Jess.
But I'm always willing to be the example of the change, the shift. I'm not any different than anybody else listening. Mm-hmm. You're not any different. You're not any different. We all have our own stories and our own backgrounds. So yeah, something has to, in me, I've got to flip the switch. I do. And I've got to take the first step.
What do you want?
I want to fucking rock.
Okay. I assert that you already do.
Well, thank you. And that is the image. So many people, you get seen as this image, you get seen as this profile. Social media world does this to you. And then yet my conversation oftentimes is I'm not doing enough. Mm-hmm. I should be doing more. I'm still too lazy. You know, I still have those same conversations. Do they ever go away completely?
You have more facility dealing with them inside of your head. I'll just say that. You get more facile with that. Dunk, 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 dunk.
Yeah. How are you, like, somebody comes into you, because Danielle takes a little bit different approach. Mm-hmm. Where are you, like, because somebody's coming into you and you're identifying food allergies and symptoms and all this. Then what?
It all depends on what your goal is, you know, and it depends on what your goal is and then how bad do you want it, you know. So when I hear you talk, I don't hear a person that really wants it bad enough, and I don't mean to be that upfront with you, but I don't hear that you really want it enough to make a change.
I obviously don't. There's a reason I haven't, like, gone to have any blood work done or gone in to see anybody, because the moment somebody tells me I can't drink beer or I can't drink wine,
and that's what I encounter all the time. That's what I encounter that a lot.
Yeah.
And I would say that 90% of the people are in the place that you're at. I've had people come in with just devastating diseases, and if you say, you take away their addictions, and that is what they are. Mm-hmm. If you take away their pizza or their comfort foods or their alcohol, they choose to maintain that than to change their lives. And that's why we have to have a why that's greater than all of that.
So is that a societal thing? Is that...
I think it's a deeply personal thing. You know, in order to really change your life and to really change your lifestyle, you got to hit a bottom of some sort. Yeah. But if things are okay and, you know, you're not experiencing any type of pain, then there's no intrinsic motivation.
I guess that's what I'm suggesting, because both of you have referenced ground zero, step zero, hitting a bottom.
Is that what you meant by the ground zero, kind of a rock bottom? Did I understand that right?
What I mean by step zero is, like, before we make adjustments, before we take actions in a different way. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so maybe not drastic, but is it? I mean, because I guess what I'm looking at is it a societal epidemic? Because how do we know that we're at that point when we look out and everyone else is exactly the same as us? I mean, how do we?
Or
how do
you're
you discover?
seeing an image that feels impossible.
Yeah, it's
to
like
ever.
it's like we have this, and then we have this.
Right.
We have this high level of beauty and fitness and health and just all well-being, and then we have the rest of us schleps that are just trying to get by during the day. And we don't have 3 personal trainers and private chefs and nannies for our children and all these things that the elitists have. That I have 18 hours of my day that really I can do whatever the hell I want. I don't have obligations. And those are the people that we see and we emulate and we look to, unfortunately, or better or worse. But then all of our peers are in the same predicament we are. So how do we have how do we have a place that we can judge how bad we are?
Well, there's a saying in recovery that says, when the pain of remaining the same becomes greater than the pain of change, then we're going to be ready. So if staying in the same place becomes painful enough, that's when people are going to do something different. They're going to become ready, willing, and able to do whatever it takes for whatever the goal they have. If that's overcoming a food addiction or a drug addiction or a lack of love addiction, like in what she works with. You have to get to a place of longing within yourself to do something different.
So my history in my past, and I've gone back and looked at when have I made the biggest changes in my life, and it's been when I've had somebody who I deeply care for or love tell me, call me out flat out on my shit and say, you are being lazy, you are doing this, where it doesn't come, and that's coming from a place of not love. So don't, I'm not saying they had my highest interest in mind. It was in some manners more of a mental abusive state, but it was always I'll show you. Yeah. I'll show you. And that's an energy that now I don't have those I don't have that. So it's and that's not the energy I want to move into. Why I want to make those changes. Yeah, exactly. So, and I remember as a young adult, I suffered from anorexia. I had major eating disorders. I remember being 13 years old and sitting in the car seat, and my stepmom, and overhearing my stepmom and my dad having this conversation about, I think Becky's gaining too much weight because I had some cellulite on my leg. And at that time, I was super thin and anorexic at the time. And my brother was always on a diet. So there was always this stigma. And I grew up in a home where my dad had a gym and bodybuilders were around all the time. I don't do well in energy in a gym. There's lots of things that I have to, we're always trying to figure out what works for us. Always trying to figure out what works for us. And yet I can come up with all the excuses as to why it's not working or why I'm choosing not to go here, go there. Sometimes you just have to get uncomfortable, I guess, right?
I promise my clients that we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun throughout this
Working out?
No, you don't have to work out. I don't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. When you come into a place where you, what do you enjoy? Do you enjoy outside? Do you enjoy inside? I like outside. Okay, well, when's the last time you went outside? It's been a long time. Okay, well, how many times can you get outside this week? Probably 2 or 3. Okay, good. Can you do 3? Yeah, okay. 3 times outside. When you're outside, what do you want to do? I don't know. I like to walk. Can you walk outside? Yeah, how long can you walk for? Probably 15 minutes. Okay, do that then. 3 times this week. And then they start to believe, I believe in them.
Right.
I believe in you.
Right.
And my belief in you.
Right.
Because what was empowering you before, what was powering you before is that disbelief.
Right.
I believe in you so much, and you get to match that belief for whatever degree you want.
Right.
And that's how I love my clients so much. And it's that love and that safety and that trust that I have for them, and that they step into that slowly. And they come into the space where they can choose something different for themselves for the first time, possibly. At least for the first time in a long time.
Jason, what's your experience with it all?
Oh, yeah, what she's describing is kind of like what we deal with sponsorship in a recovery program. You're that sponsor for them, and you love them until they can love themselves, is another saying we have. You have to surround them with love until they can learn to love themselves, because ultimately that's what the process is all about. And, you know, a recovery circle or the type of work you do, it's all the same stuff, you know. So, you know, and I just want to say, like, if your goal is weight loss, who cares about the gym? It's not about the gym.
Yeah, I don't think my goal has ever been...
A lot of people think that.
Yeah.
And it's not. You don't need to get out and burn more calories. It's not about that. You need to change your relationship with food.
For me, it truly is. I can embrace pretty much any body that I've had. I mean, I've gone through lots of those components with myself, and I'm not like disgusted by myself. I'm like, for me, it really comes down to I'm wanting more energy. Mm-hmm. I'm needing that energy, and that's where I'm going. Where is that missing component? And I don't think it's coming from the gym. I do think that there is something more going on. I'm in my mid-40s. Mm-hmm. Greg's looking at me going,
well, so when I'm like, and I'm being very quiet right now.
Because you talked a lot in the last one.
When I'm looking at...
He's being gentle.
Everybody. Right. Yeah. And obviously we have all these myriad different ways of engaging with people. Why I guess we're attracted to you and what you do, and obviously it was through Stacy, and I don't know, how you practice, you know, helping people, and then on the more of the clinical side is very much in alignment with what we try and do at the shop. You know, very early on, before we were even really engaged in the food and medicine aspect, we recognized that we wanted a place where friends and family could eat together, to have the sense of community, the relationship with food that, frankly, is missing in, I guess, our modern American situation. Everybody's on the go constantly. People aren't really connected to food the way they used to be. And then for you, coming in with the different, you know, true issues, internal issues that need to be addressed rather than putting Band-Aids on stuff. And we've really developed into a place where I hope your clients can come and enjoy food together. And for me as a chef, it's always been that key that food can be an addiction, absolutely, because we're in a world now where food is everywhere. Between here and your home, there is probably 100+ places where you can stop and get food. Mm-hmm. Of some variety. Every gas station has food. Corner shop. Vending machines. There is food everywhere. Billboards, commercials. We just simply cannot escape food and the impulse the addiction, the food to eat. How do we get the relationship with food? Even on a personal level, but even as a societal level. You know, I said earlier, you know, when we look around and everyone is doing the same thing, how do you break off and affect a change on a personal level? Because for like me, and I guess for you, I don't have food issues. I don't have that.
Well, you do. You have diabetes.
But that one's...
I would say that you've got a big food issue if you have diabetes. Is it type 2 or type 1?
It's type 1.
Okay, I apologize. So that was just... So that's a little
different.
He
does have big issues, though.
Okay.
Yeah, because I still have to shoot up. I mean, by all rights, I should be dead. Okay. I mean, I've been diabetic for 13 years now. I should be dead.
Okay.
I mean, there really shouldn't be anything keeping me alive at this point. Because insulin was developed, 30s maybe? I mean, it really has not been around for very long. I mean, we didn't have diabetes because people just died. Mm-hmm. And then they discovered that there was this condition. And for me, that's what I find intriguing is how we continue to develop things and we continue to develop foods and medicines and programs for things that, you know, really we never had an issue with because the reality is people they died and we didn't know why. They had a wasting disease or whatever the hell it was.
Is autoimmune, are a lot of these food diseases that are showing up now, are these new diseases or are these old things?
No, you didn't have autoimmunity 100 years ago. You might have had some rare cases of things, you know, so he was saying I think that everybody does have a problem. It's just the consequences are so spread out, we don't see it. Chronic disease is destroying the healthcare industry in this country. It's so big, but people don't want to look at it because people don't want to take personal responsibility.
Well, and
they just want to continue to do what they're doing over year after year, and then when they get in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, and then those diseases start to hit, they want to blame it on genetics.
Well, you're able to Band-Aid it and put tape on it long enough that they don't have the major issue until.
Well, we were up at Venture Cafe this Thursday. We went and checked it out, and Washu was doing. They had all of these different topics, and somebody was talking about genes and how they're diving in and finding
what
to the
genes
science what genes
what.
are linked to what for disease. And the question was asked: are you doing anything when it comes to environment and food?
That's
and
what
he goes,
epigenetics is.
And he said no.
That's what it was, epigenetics. And he was like, we're not.
He goes, we don't do that. We don't do that.
That's much more powerful. Are you familiar with Bruce Lipton?
Yeah. Yes. So what I believe is happening is that there is the scientific component that people are looking for that. However, we're becoming smarter. People are no longer being sheeple. And they're becoming more empowered. I know you think that there's still a lot of them out.
The problem is they're stepping from being sheeple to lemmings.
To what?
Lemmings.
This
they're
is
just following each other off the cliff. Now I'm not just agreeing and I'm just following the flock. Now I'm actively following the stupid shit in front of me and jumping off the cliff and killing myself.
Okay, but there are a lot of people that are feeling a whole lot more empowered and becoming more educated. If they weren't, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing.
There is. It's a benefit of, and I guess that's where I get to back to you guys is, how do you then in turn deal with the misinformation or the excuse mentality or that everyone else is doing this, or how do you get to the personal accountability? Because like you said, it has to be for you. The end of the day, everyone has their own choices. They can go out to eat. They can drink that other beer. They can, eat that pizza or whatever the hell it is. How do we manifest that change to more cognizant thinking, or actually taking accountability for what we're doing on a personal level, and then I guess hopefully a societal level?
Well, personally, that's the biggest struggle I have, trying to get somebody to make that shift. It's very difficult. I don't know what your experience is, but that's really difficult for me to get people to make that shift for themselves. I have all the information in the world to throw at you about why something is occurring and how to fix it and how to change it and what you need to do, but getting them to make that choice for themselves is a real struggle for me.
Well, and you have your own personal story and your own personal reason for doing it. Why did you start doing what you're doing? Is there a personal side to it as well?
Yeah, I binge ate for 10 years. And I was in nursing school, like high school and then nursing school. And then outside of nursing school, nothing really, I'm trying to give the short version of the story, but outside of after nursing school, I lived in Florida at this super awesome, raw, vegan, restrictive institute, where I learned these amazing, amazing, people with cancer no longer had cancer, and you can't say, the word cure in that sentence, right? But they had cancer, now they don't have cancer, and they ate vegetables in the meantime and did all this fasting stuff. So I jumped on that train, having no issues, no situation. The only
this
thing
was
I had,
prior to the binge eating,
no,
after,
in the midst of it.
Okay,
and then so when given that I had this underlying issue that I just exercised and dieted and would measure everything, and then would binge a lot and eat an entire tub of ice cream, and then go back to the gym and treadmill it off, and so nobody knew.
While you were staying there, and doing all of that.
Okay, so one time during my journey there, and this is nothing against them. This was a me thing.
Right.
Peanut butter was kind of a no-no. There's research about why peanut butter is not great for you, and I was being super
namaste to the peanut butter.
No. Well, no, I was being holy, right? But then I would grab a jar of peanut butter from the Whole Foods trip that we went on and eat it in the back of the car. And I'm in the back of the car, eating this peanut butter, like my eyes rolling in the back of my head, like, oh my God, this is so good. And then someone drops something off at the car, like she opens the door and I'm in the back seat, like
with your peanut butter.
Yeah, and I'm like so caught. I'm like so embarrassed, and it's just eating peanut butter. But it was so bad, and it was so wrong, and that just like compiled. I mean, my whole life after that was hiding this bad and wrong thing, and it was just terrible. And so after that, it just got worse because I was trying to fast, and then I was trying to, I couldn't drink any water except for non-fluorinated water, all this stuff. Everything I ate was wrong.
So when did the shift happen? Because I think that this is why we do what it is that we do. Why we're educating and pulling in this and being real. I don't believe many things that go to a high extreme work for very long periods of time.
If I was trying to save my life, I think it would. I might be different.
But again, you have a consequence.
Right.
It's either life or death. We're talking about the average American who doesn't probably have. It's not a life or death situation. If they're going to go down this diet path of whatever it is, and it's an extreme path, it's going to be temporary. Yeah, they might lose the 60 pounds, 70 pounds, whatever it is. But the moment that opportunity comes in that they can eat again
or the support falls away.
Right. So when did it hit you, and how did you mentally get over the block?
I enrolled in the coaching program that I now coach. I found an email or I came across the website, and I don't really remember what happened first, but I remember crying about it thinking, oh my God, if I could get through my stuff, because I know everything. I know more than, because I moved back to St. Louis, I was like, I know more than anyone in my circle, and I can't, the knowledge isn't fixing anything. I'm still binging on, bananas covered in mustard. That's so weird. You shouldn't want to do that. But,
that's weird.
It was weird.
Bananas covered in mustard.
Yeah, it was like a hot dog.
No judgment. That's weird.
And then I came across that email, and I thought, well, okay, if I can learn about this stuff and really put myself through this practice, then I can actually help people. Because I went to that program to bring health to people. You need to be raw vegan, and you need to be raw vegan, and you need to be raw vegan. And that's how we can make the world a better place. And that was my intention. That was my heart. I actually emailed you, and I came into your store.
I remember you coming in
2012.
Oh, my.
I was a righteous.
We were so babies.
So righteous and we need to do this, and this is the way it's going to be. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, and I don't that was probably a major turnoff to me because that's what I don't embrace that there is. I embrace food very similar to I embrace religion. I do not believe there is one pathway to the end all be all. I believe that there are multiple avenues, and in the end, it is about being happy. Mm-hmm. It is about loving, and it is about being the absolute best you can be. Mm-hmm. So, probably why I didn't respond or connect with you at the time.
Really. For the best.
So if you were to give somebody out there is listening right now, and we all
we hope.
We all kind of shared. We hope one person is listening. Somebody is listening out there. We all kind of shared a little bit of our own personal journey. They're going through their own personal journey. What is one step that you can give of advice or something that says, where do they go? What do they do? What's that one step?
Step towards what? What specifically?
Step towards whatever it is that they're wanting, whatever it is that they're needing, whether it be weight loss, whether it be health, whether it be self-love. What's the step? What's that first thing to do? I would say acknowledge the fact that there is an issue. Mm-hmm. Would you not say that that's the first?
Well, a lot of people are in denial.
Can you really help somebody who's in denial? We're not talking about the person that is flat out I'm blindsided, because we get a lot of those people. They don't really care. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the person that is saying, I've got a problem.
Knows enough to know they have an issue. Be it weight, be it health, be it family history, be it health, something they read that, oh, hey, I do this, or I'm like this, or I have a condition, or, mom just died of a massive heart attack, and I'm just like her, and I don't want to die.
Say what the first step is, and then how does somebody reach out to you? Like, who are you?
I would say don't give up.
Okay. And how can somebody reach you?
My website is www.sohappyhealth.com. HAPPI is happy.
Okay.
But I mean, really, don't give up. Like, don't find people that love you, and don't give up. There is life on the other side of that pain, and that pain is going to mold you into what your life is for, and it's not for nothing. Like, my story is not for nothing. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that story, you know? Weird bananas and all, like mustard bananas.
Bananas and mustard.
Probably not a new Lay's potato chip flavor. Just saying.
And Jason, for you.
How much time do we have? Are we almost out of time?
No, you got a few minutes. Go ahead.
There's something I want to say. I want to address the topic of extreme, and I doubt that you'll agree with me on this, but I want the audience to hear this. People think that what I do is extreme. In how I address lifestyle, because I'm literally one of the only people that's consistently year after year after year sticks with something that works. And what I would like to say is I've helped so many people try to get out of the yo-yo. You know, so many people, like they say 90% of diets don't work, right? There's a reason for that. You know, you can't crash diet, and I'm sure you can attest to this, for 30 days and do something is extreme to somebody and then go back to the old ways. And that's what people do. Mm-hmm. So if your problem food is bread and pasta and you're a carb bloater and you go low carb for 30 days, and then at the end of that time period, you're happy with yourself, you've achieved a weight loss goal, which is not a great goal because it doesn't motivate you long term, and you've achieved that goal, and then you go add those things back into your life, you're going to go right back to where you
just reset the cycle.
And people, you know, my friends ask me, how do you do it? How do you do it? And the answer is I don't put the addictive substances back in my body. I don't put the drugs back into my body. I don't put the alcohol back into the body. And I don't put the foods that my body reacts to in the same way back into my body. And I want people to hear that because people don't want to look at that. That's why Weight Watchers doesn't work. You know, they just minimize the portions into a 200-calorie candy bar. Mm-hmm. But all the ingredients in that candy bar are highly addictive. You know, and that's my message, that we can't ignore the addictive properties of what we're doing to our body. We just can't do it. And
I don't disagree with you.
agree
We
100%.
actually really don't disagree with you a whole lot.
Okay.
It's one, identifying what are those addictive components.
Yeah.
Sugar's that huge component.
Sugar,
Dairy is that huge component.
The fats, the trans fats, you know, the salts, the sugars, and then there's entire industries and scientists behind how to make these foods addictive.
Yeah,
anything in a freaking box is designed and engineered to make you addicted. That's a fact.
They want you to buy their product.
They want you to continue. They want you to crave it and to need it. And these are real. It's a very real problem.
Right.
You know, and that's why people fail.
How can somebody get a hold of you?
My name is Dr. Jason Ciaramitaro.
Ciaramitaro.
And I can be. My website is www.trinitydoc.com, TRINITYDOC.com, and you can find my information there.
Okay.
Cool.
We are also, with the Find Your Inner Flavor brand, we are also joining all of these experts onto our website. So you'll have access to them, and we're asking them to be contributing writers as well. So the Find Your Inner Flavor brand really is a resource. It's an education component. Yes, we are the co-owners of Symbol. We are a healthy lifestyle-focused restaurant. Oh, wait, which camera am I supposed to? I'm over here.
You're over there.
Real time, real life. We are a healthy lifestyle-focused restaurant in Kirkwood, Chesterfield, and in St. Charles, Missouri. We go way beyond just being a restaurant. We are connectors. We are experts as far as we can go when it comes to food, but we are also collaborating and joining in other experts out there. We have launched our crowdfund. You can find that on Indiegogo.com under Find Your Inner Flavor. Now is when we're asking for your support. We want you to be a part of what it is that we are creating. Food is Medicine is just on the cusp. You're going to hear more and more of this going on. And it's because we want to offer the absolute best quality products out out there to you without you questioning what it is that's in there. So we have created our autoimmune sauce lines, our no tomato pasta sauce and our no tomato barbecue sauce. There are other ways you can help as well. Become a sponsor. Back our educational component, which is the Find Your Inner Flavor brand, so we can continue bringing all of this information to you for free. We want to thank the Gaslight for being such a huge role in what it is that we have created in here. Isn't this a fun space to be in?
Cool.
I know, they make us look really professional. Matt with Media Outlaws, you can't see him. Someday we'll get him on the other side of the camera where we can ask him some questions. And join us in our next podcast live here at the Gaslight on March 18th, where we're going to be creating a little bit of a networking event. We're pulling in a lot of our experts. We're bringing food in.
Yeah, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, mark your calendars. And we're going to have fun because we're going to stream those 3 podcasts live on Facebook and maybe on YouTube. I don't know. We're going to see. Matt gives us a thumbs up. So we're going to sign off and we'll see you the next time.
Cheers.